I want her family to know, and I want the state of Kentucky to know that we feel for it and we want justice.
I think it's interesting to examine how different leagues respond to players' calls.
There's a lot of things that need to change. One specifically is police brutality. There's people being murdered unjustly and not being held accountable.
For systemic change on police brutality.
We believe everyone should stand for the national anthem.
I think it's very disrespectful to our country. I think it's very, very disrespectful to our flag.
I think we've passed kneeling. And he chose not to take it. I understand that. And, we've moved on here. So.
The fight against systemic racism.
As you display and try to educate and tell the stories of these victims.
And Black lives just simply mattering.
Black lives matter. Not matters more than you, just matters.
I grew up in a sport that has really given my life meaning, but I've actually grown up in a sport that has very little to no diversity.
Take, for example, Lewis Hamilton. He is the first black driver in the history of Formula One racing, which has spanned 70 years.
Representation matters. And I've come to believe deeply that reflective representation, seeing yourself, your experience, your people's experience in the places and positions that matter most in this world, is critical to meaningful civic engagement.
This is Jesse Beeson, whose TED Talk you should check out in full. There is a deep lack of representation in F1, and Hamilton, the lone black driver/champion, is being punished for demanding equality and justice from society.
All those restarts, the total focus that's needed.
He used his post-race interview to call for the arrest of the police officer's involvement in the killing of a life lost at just 26 years old, Breonna Taylor. He also had Breonna Taylor's face along with "Say Her Name" on the back of his shirt. And guess what? The FIA, or the governing body for motor racing, and their spokesperson said they are a non-political organization and the incident is under active consideration. Their statute states that no one can make any political statements or gestures during events. Hamilton could be fined for his attire. This was an attempt to silence Lewis. It didn't work. Want you to know that I won't stop, I won't let up, I won't give up on using this platform to shed light on what I believe is right. This is a journey for all of us to come together and challenge the world on every level of injustice. He has called out fellow drivers for their lack of support, not a sign from anybody in my industry, which of course is a white-dominated sport. I'm one of the only people of color there, yet I stand alone. I see those of you who are staying silent, some of you the biggest stars, yet you stay silent in the midst of injustice, Hamilton wrote in another Instagram post. The FIA finally dropped its investigation, but they virtue signaled their discomfort with a driver not shutting up in racing. Hamilton called on F1's leaders to be stronger in their anti-racism messaging. It's lacking leadership, he said. It shouldn't be for me to have to call the teams or call the teams out. That should be announced or discussed from the top down. That should be coming from the higher powers that control and pull all the strings. The time for platitudes and token gestures is over, Hamilton said. When I look back in 20 years, I want to see the sport that gave a shy, working class black kid so much opportunity become as diverse as the complex and multicultural world we live in. If you'd like to hear more thought-provoking content like TYT Sports on Facebook and to help in my journey to keep media independent, go to tyt.com/Rick.